Okay folks, so let's go ahead and start working on our animation. You can go ahead and open up the file 0301, and this file is going to be our starting point for our motion design. It's basically what we had in our basically first lesson. I'm just having my cubes without having any sort of motion, so just really nothing here. And also I have this camera hierarchy just to help us out with the motion, and this is the camera from the main design. You see we have this main camera, we have a camera that contains some position keyframes, and we have a camera that contains some rotation keyframes. Okay, so great. So some basic information we can go ahead and use it to kind of block out our animation here. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of starting the with the motion that we have and working on it. So let me go ahead and tell you what we're going to be creating in this lesson. Let me open up the file here. So here's the motion that we're going to be creating in this lesson. You see this first cube that comes in, see there? And this second cube you can see from left to right. Take a look here. So these two motion, we're going to be kind of blocking them out. It's going to be really easy, so let's go ahead and do that. So this is our first cube that we're basically going to animate, you see, and that's our second cube that comes into play. So let's go ahead and start working on this. Let me go and come out of the camera and working on this cube. The first thing, as you saw, there was a simple rotation at the beginning of our motion, and because the cube axis point is at the 0, 0 point, if you're going to kind of rotate it, this is what we're going to have. So it's not really going to work the way we want it to. So what I wanted to do is do the following. I'm going to select this cube 26 and go to my objects and hold down Alt and create a null. Now we have this null for cube 26, okay, which is its axis point is exactly at 0, 0, 0, and we have this cube 26 and its axis point is at the same point, but we want to for this cube in order to have a rotation around its axis, we need to make sure its axis is centered to its volume. So what we're going to be doing is select this guy, go to your mesh, axis center, and center axis 2. Now we have a cube, we have a null as a parent for this cube. So if we wanted to kind of rotate kind of a Rubik's motion, we can go ahead and simply use this null, and if we want to kind of rotate the cube around its volume, we can go ahead and simply use the cube itself. So this is going to be really useful. So let's go ahead and maybe about 25 frame would be enough for this guy. So if you take a look at a camera, you can see at about frame maybe 30. Yeah, 30 is enough. So let's go ahead and select this cube, go to frame 30, and we want to move it on Z axis. So I'm going to add a keyframe, just click on this bottom here, and let's go ahead come back to frame 0, and I'm just going to move this thing on Z, okay, and make sure you're basically moving the cube. So let's go ahead and kind of move it maybe to about here. If I get back to the camera, you can see this is what we have. I think it's a bit too far. Somewhere around here would be kind of enough. And as you can see, one important note here is the camera's focal length is about 15 millimeters. So we have this wide sort of look here. Great. So let's get back to the cube here. I'm going to, let's go ahead to something like 740, and I'm going to the cube coordinates, and let's go ahead and set a keyframe for this guy too. So here's the motion that we have. Okay, very simple. Perfect. So maybe, great, maybe we can actually go to about here. So let's go ahead and actually 30, maybe 5. So let's go ahead and actually move this keyframe to frame 35 here. Okay, perfect. And now we need to add the rotation. So let's go ahead and select the thing, and we want to rotate it on heading. Yeah, so let's go ahead and maybe about 13 frame, about here I want the rotation to be finished. So let's go ahead and add a keyframe on our heading. So 0 here, get back, and maybe go to something like maybe negative 45 here, or let's go to something like 60 and set another keyframe. So this is the motion that we have at the moment. Okay, very nice and simple. It comes, rotates, and I just want to make the rotation a bit more dramatic. I mean, you can block out the whole animation and then come back to this detail, but I kind of personally like to do some kind of detailed work on my motions as I go through them. So let me go ahead and select this rotation, go to the animation and show the F curve. Let's go ahead and select this first keyframe, and I'm going to kind of speed it up so it's going to be a bit more quicker at the beginning and then slows down gradually. So this is what we're going to get. We have this kind of first motion, first quick rotation, and then it comes to its rest. Okay, perfect. Now the next thing is this second cube that comes from this side here, from negative x. So let's go ahead and actually animate and rotate that. Maybe it would be okay if it's kind of finish its motion maybe about here. So at maybe frame 35, what we had for this guy, or maybe a bit late. Let's go to something like maybe 40. Okay, so let's go select the cube 5, and we want to move it on X. So let's go ahead and positive create a keyframe on X, and let's go to maybe here. See when it's completely out of our camera view, and let's go ahead and move it on negative X. So let's go ahead and back it off maybe to something like this. Okay, and here's this keyframe. I'm gonna get back, and there we go. I'm just going to actually hide this cube for the moment. So let's go ahead and hide this, and so let's see what we're gonna get. And I think it would be okay just to go ahead and change the aspect ratio to be HDTV. Okay, so there we go. And now if I hit play, this is what we're gonna get. The first thing is kind of bothers me here. As you can see, the cube from this side, if I go hit Shift V and go to my view and increase the opacity here, you can see this cube here is kind of visible, and it's quite obvious that it's staying still there, and as soon as the camera comes it starts a motion, which is really not that nice, I guess. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of, let's go ahead, and if I select the cube number 25, let's see, motion, if I move this keyframe to frame 0, let's go ahead and 0, let's go to something like negative 200. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen this time. So we hit play. Now it's better, and it's a small thing. It's gonna be a bit hard to actually see what's going on with this, and I mean, we can go ahead and reduce this value if we want to, so it's kind of a bit more in motion. Or what we can do is kind of move this keyframe from 0 to a negative value like negative 20 or negative 30, so this way it's going to be in motion already when the timeline starts. But I think let's see, hit play. Okay, that's, I guess, is enough. You know, yeah, that's going to be enough. And another thing we can do possibly is to move this camera a bit to the right to kind of hide this thing, but it's not that important. And what I can do with this cube, again, if I go ahead and open up its F curve, I can make the motion to start a bit faster again, so it's gonna be in motion from the very beginning, and it's not gonna gradually start to, if it was like this, if it was like this, it would gradually start to motion and then speeds up and then slows down. But if we change the curve and the handle to be like this, so it's already in motion and then it slows down as it goes through the timeline. So if I go ahead, get back and hit play, you can see from the very beginning it started motion, even though it was a bit too exaggerated. So I'm going to open it up again. So let's go ahead, show the F curve here. Maybe something like this is more than enough. And so hit play. Perfect, perfect. So this is our first motion, and we're going to continue our design from the next lesson. So see you there.